I have just traversed into the pages of a novel. The daughter of the maid is striking herself and falsely accusing me of assault. Two bodyguards confront me with indignation. Bai Shu, did we not simply refrain from accompanying you for a camping trip under the stars last night? How dare you lay a hand on Wen Yi? Indeed, you shall kneel and apologize to Wen Yi at once. Otherwise, we will not let this matter rest. Huh. These two bodyguards were nurtured by the Bai family since childhood, having grown up alongside the original owner. Do they truly consider themselves the masters? I delivered a sharp slap across their faces and coldly declared, how dare these two dogs bare their teeth at their master? Steward Su, is our African mining company not in dire need of personnel lately? Send these two blind wretches to me without delay. Steward Su smiled with satisfaction. Very well, miss. The two bodyguards were bewildered. This plot is not unfolding as expected. 1. The daughter of the housekeeper witnessed Shen Jiheng and Shun Ziyu being struck. She hurriedly positioned herself in front of them, exclaiming, Bai Shu, you may strike me, but how could you lay a hand on my two elder brothers? I understand, it is all my fault. Last night, I twisted my ankle and should not have summoned them back. Listening to Wen Yi's flowery language, I quickly recounted the original plot in my mind. Although Bai Shu is the sole heir of the Bai group, she is a pitiful and ineffectual supporting character. Last night was Bai Shu's birthday, and Shen Ziheng and Shun Jiyu had proposed to accompany her for a camping trip to gaze at the stars. Yet as soon as the tent was erected, the brothers received a call from the housekeeper's daughter, Wen Yi. Upon hearing that Wen Yi had injured her ankle, they became flustered and hastily drove away, leaving Bai Shu alone in the desolate wilderness. Ever since Bai Shu's parents tragically perished in an accident, this was not the first instance of the brothers abandoning her. The trio had planned to attend a concert together, but Bai Shu stood at the entrance with her tickets, waiting until the concert concluded, only to find that the two had not returned. With calls unanswered and messages ignored, she discovered through social media that they had long since taken Wen Yi to Disneyland, with photos depicting them on either side of her, beaming with joy, captioned, spending a magical day with our little princess. Wen Yi, may you always be happy. The comments section overflowed with their affectionate interactions, brimming with indulgence towards Wen Yi. Bai Shu stood alone in the cold, empty square after the event. The biting wind causing her to shiver, her ticket crumpled in her grasp. Both she and Wen Yi contracted an illness simultaneously. And while they kept vigil at Wen Yi's bedside for 7 days and nights, neither had spared a glance for Bai Shu. This time, they had even taken the only car, inadvertently forgetting Bai Shu entirely. Alone in the eerie wilderness, shrouded in darkness, she could hear the calls of unknown creatures and the rustling of trees, sending chills down her spine. Unable to remain any longer, she could only call the housekeeper to bring someone to retrieve her. By the time she returned to the Bai residence, dawn had broken, and she fortuitously encountered the smug figure of the favored protagonist, Wen Yi. Without a second thought, she slapped herself, framing Bai Shu for her actions, leading to the very scene at the beginning. Although the two brothers served as Bai Shu's bodyguards, they had grown up alongside her, and she had always regarded them as elder brothers rather than servants, never uttering a harsh word towards them. How could she now raise her hand against them? Shun Ziyu and Shen Jiheng were utterly bewildered, their eyes wide with disbelief. Bai Shu, how dare you strike us? 2. Shun Jiyu's voice trembled with rage. Is it because we tended to Wen Yi last night? Shen Jiheng's gaze was shrouded in shadows. Bai Shu, it seems we have truly coddled you, allowing you to become so arrogant and overbearing. Observing the scene, Wen Yi immediately knelt on the ground, tears streaming down her face. It is all my fault. Bai Shu, I do not deserve the care of my two brothers. Please do not vent your anger on them. After saying this, she unexpectedly struck her own face, the sound echoing resoundingly. The brothers were heartbroken, rushing to restrain her. Shen Jiheng pulled her into his embrace. Enough! It is Bai Shu who has been spoiled and arrogant. How can this be your fault? Wen Yi, your kindness has only allowed Bai Shu to bully you. Shen Jiyu glared at me, urging, Bai Shu, quickly kneel and apologize to Wen Yi, or do not blame us for ignoring you. With red-rimmed eyes, Wen Yi hastily tugged at the brother's sleeves. Jiyu Ji, Jiheng Ji, please do not fall out over me and Bai Shu. I am the one in the wrong. I am merely the daughter of a housekeeper. Shan Jiyu offered her some comfort, but his gaze remained fierce as he admonished, Bai Shu, are you deaf? Hurry and kneel. When he shot me a challenging look, and my mind finally pieced together the original plot. In the book, these two ungrateful wolves had conspired with Bai Shu's foster brother and fiancé to bring about her demise. The day after Bai Shu's wedding to her fiancé, Su Xingqian, the four of them had united to imprison her in a basement, torturing her to death. After Bai Shu's demise, Su Xingqian, by virtue of his marriage, successfully inherited the Bai family's vast fortune, subsequently marrying Wen Yi. While the foster brother and the two bodyguards smiled and offered their congratulations, culminating in a happy ending. Upon witnessing this conclusion, I was driven to fury, vociferously condemning the author as a charlatan. And yet, here I was, ensnared within the narrative. I gazed at the two brothers, still barking like hounds, and a cold smile crept upon my lips as I declared, Shinjiyu, Shinjiheng, you two ungrateful wretches. You have dined at my table, drunk from my cup. It is the Bai family that has raised you. You two curs dare to demand I, your mistress, kneel before you? 3. I turned to the housekeeper.
Su.
What fate would such treachery, this insidious betrayal of master and servant, warrant in ancient times?
Su.
A long-serving elder of the household who had watched the original Bai Shu grow had long harbored disappointment at her weak demeanor. Upon hearing my inquiry, his eyes brightened with excitement. Miss, such treacherous sycophants would undoubtedly meet their end by a flurry of blows. I shook my head with a hint of regret. Alas, they were born in a fortunate era. Let it suffice to strike them. They shall cease only when they recognize their errors. Sue's face lit up with a satisfied smile at my words. Indeed, miss. He had long viewed the two brothers, emboldened by the miss's kindness, with disdain. These ungrateful wretches had always looked down upon him, the housekeeper. Now, with the miss finally awakening to her resolve, he was wholeheartedly supportive. With a wave of Sue's hand, 8 formidable bodyguards stepped forward, swiftly subduing Shen Jiyu and Shen Jiheng. What are you doing? Let us go. Shen Jiyu exclaimed, fury and fear intertwining as he struggled in vain against their grasp. Shen Jiheng glared at me, his eyes aflame. Bai Shu, are you insane? You truly dare to lay hands on us? Slap. The answer to his defiance was a resounding slap delivered by Su himself. Do you think you can so casually call her miss by her name? Sue's expression was stern. You are devoid of decorum. Our Mrs. Kindness has led you to forget who is master and who is servant. Strike them, until they remember the rules of the Bai family.
Slap. Slap. Slap.
These 8 robust bodyguards, handpicked by Su, executed their orders without hesitation, leaving a cacophony of slaps resounding through the hall. For they had never endured such humiliation before. Initially stunned, their hearts soon surged with boundless anger and indignity. Bai Shu, how dare you treat us this way? Do you not fear we shall cut ties with you?
Ah!
Bai Shu, you scoundrel! Stop at once. Else, my brother will make you pay.
Ah, Bai Yansu. Merli a Fosterson.
I am the true young lady of the Bai family, the sole heir. Regardless of their struggles and curses, they were met with only harsher slaps. The pain gradually brought clarity to their dazed minds, and their gazes shifted from shock and rage to fear. Shu, please stop. We will apologize. Is that not enough? Witnessing their swollen faces, blood trickling from their mouths, Wen Yi stood utterly dumbfounded. This scenario was entirely incongruent. According to the narrative, Bai Shu should at this moment be panicking and pleading for forgiveness, not this. Even offering substantial material compensation? Yet now, Bai Shu wore a chilling expression, striking me in public. A moment of panic coursed through Wen Yi's heart. However, her reaction was swift. She immediately threw herself in front of me, tears streaming down her face. Sister Bai Shu, please don't. It's all my fault. I beg you to spare Brother Ji Yu and Brother Ji Heng. Don't hit them anymore. The nanny, Wen Ma, hastily knelt before me, pleading in a sorrowful tone. Miss, please stop. If the young master returns, he will not let you off easily. I lowered my gaze, finding it resting on the diamond bracelet encircling her wrist. This bracelet, worth over 100 million, was the most cherished piece of jewelry belonging to the original owner's mother. Yet now, it adorned the wrist of a mere nanny? It appeared she had mistaken herself for the rightful owner of this house. How intriguing! I spoke with a measured calmness. Wen Ma, if my memory serves me right, This bracelet you wear is a relic of my mother. I wonder how it came to be on your wrist? This bracelet was acquired by my father during an auction held for my mother, valued at 100 million. All purchase records and certificates of authenticity can be traced. You certainly have an eye for valuable things. What? 100 million? The surrounding servants gasped in astonishment, covering their mouths in shock. Ma, how could you? My heavens!
Ich ven matrul Yosef.
How dare she steal such a precious piece of jewelry that belonged to Madame? Surely, Madame's jewelry is not cheap. Ma was rendered speechless. She never anticipated that by merely stepping forward to plead, she would implicate herself. Hastily, she tried to conceal the bracelet, her eyes wide with fear. Then, she began to wail, "Young miss, I was wrong. I truly did not know this bracelet was so valuable. I merely borrowed it to wear. Please forgive me this once, considering I have served you since you were little. I swear I will never do it again." I ignored her, turning my attention to Butler Sue. "Take people to search Ma's room and see if she has stolen anything else." A flicker of cold light appeared in Butler Sue's eyes as he immediately bowed in response. "Yes, miss. I have long suspected this old woman of having unclean hands. It's just that before his words trailed off, but the implication was clear. The original owner had been far too weak, allowing these servants to ride roughshod over the true master of the house. Even if he had spoken out, the original owner would have likely brushed it off lightly. He had played the villain, ending up disliked by everyone, a true loss for nothing. At this moment, witnessing the transformation of the young lady, his posture straightened. He waved his hand, and instantly, 2 bodyguards stepped forward. Ignoring Ma's cries and struggles, they restrained her and dragged her aside for supervision. Others swiftly moved toward Ma's room. This scene momentarily distracted the still-crying Shin Ji-yu and Shun Ji-hung from their pain, their eyes wide with astonishment at the unfolding drama. Wenyi's complexion turned pale. She had long known her mother secretly took things from the Bai family, even selling some inconspicuous trinkets to support her. She had even encouraged it in secret. Yet she never imagined her mother would dare to take a bracelet worth over 100 million after the Bai couple's demise. Even more shocking was that today, this would all be publicly revealed by me. Sister Bai Shu. Please. My mother was just confused for a moment. She has served your Bai family for so many years. While she may not have achieved much, she has endured hardships, hasn't she? Wen-yi lunged toward me, attempting to grasp my leg, but I kicked her away. You wretched creature. I scoffed. Is this flimsy claim of hardship enough to warrant stealing the family heirlooms worth over 100 million? A daughter raised to brazenly betray her master and sow discord? Soon, the searching bodyguards returned with a delicate jewelry box and several luxurious handbags and clothes of considerable value, presenting them before me. Miss Butler, these were found in a box beneath the bed in Ma's room. The bodyguard opened the jewelry box, revealing not only several expensive pieces of jewelry, but also a limited edition watch. Butler Sue picked up an imperial green jade necklace, his expression darkening. This necklace was often worn by Madame in her lifetime, and this watch has been a cherished collection of the master for many years. The more he examined, the angrier he became, flames of fury igniting in his eyes. That despicable old woman. Madame once took pity on you and allowed you and your daughter to stay here. The Bai family treated you both with utmost care, and yet you committed such a vile act. Truly, you are worse than animals. At this moment, the evidence was irrefutable, and the crowd erupted in murmurs. The servants had long harbored grievances against Ma, particularly after Madame's passing. She had arrogantly behaved like the mistress, taking advantage of her position as the mother of Bai family's favored Wen-yi, refusing to work and looking down upon the other servants. The slightest displeasure resulted in verbal abuse. They had been seething with resentment, and now they felt a sense of justice. Good heavens! She stole so many of the master's possessions. Truly, a wolf raised in a house of kindness. How well Madame treated her, considering her daughter as one of her own, yet she dared to steal our Madame's belongings? When Ma collapsed to the ground, despair etched in her eyes. I glanced over the stolen items, a cold smile creeping onto my lips. The original owner was indeed blind and foolish, allowing this mother-daughter duo to toy with her. Butler Sue, call the police. My expression darkened, my voice icy. Present the evidence to the authorities and let them deal with it seriously.
No.
Please. Do not call the police. Miss, I was wrong. I truly understand my mistake. I beg you, considering my years of service to you and the Bai family, spare me this once. I will return everything to you. The items are all here. I truly have nothing more. When Ma finally grasped the gravity of the situation, crawling before me in desperation, bowing profusely, when E panicked as well. If the police were called, her mother's life would be ruined. She would never be able to hold her head high in the Bai family again. She hurriedly joined in, bowing Sister Bai Shu, it's all my fault. I should not have provoked you. You can punish me however you wish, just please don't call the police. I looked down at them, my gaze laced with mockery. Who is your sister? You, the daughter of a servant, think you deserve such a title? Now you know to beg for mercy? Did you ever consider the consequences when your mother stole and when you schemed against me? It's too late now. Butler Sue, have them taken away. With a wave of his hand, the butler signaled to the bodyguards, who moved to drag them away, awaiting the arrival of the police. When Ma cried out like a slaughtered pig, after receiving 2 slaps from a bodyguard, she finally fell silent. When E, in tears, attempted to reach for her mother, but the bodyguard forcefully flung her aside, pulling her back. Just then, a cold, furious voice rang out. Stop this at once. I turned to see a young man in a tailored suit striding through the entrance. His face was chiseled, his expression grim. He was Bai Yanzhou, the adopted son of the Bai family and the original owner's nominal brother. He should have been attending an important business event, evidently having rushed back upon receiving news. Upon entering, he immediately spotted the scene of when Ma and her daughter being dragged away and the Shen brothers with swollen cheeks, pinned down by bodyguards. His eyes turned red with fury as he glared at me. Bai Shu, what on earth are you doing? His gaze was piercing, filled with unabashed disdain and reproach. Is this how you create chaos in the house early in the morning? It seems I have indulged you too much, fostering your arrogant disposition. Are you not going to let Wen Yi and Wen Ma go? The bodyguards exchanged glances, unsure whether to release them or not. The Shun brothers and the Wen mother-daughter duo brightened at the sight of him. When Yi cried out in desperation, Yanzhou, save me. They seemed to have found their pillar of support, reciting my supposed atrocities. I found myself stifling a laugh, incredulous at the absurdity of the situation.
Ha!
A thief who has pilfered treasures worth billions from her employer, and a maid's daughter who has conspired to slander her own master. What makes you think I would ever consider releasing them? Who do you think you are? Bai Yanzhou appeared momentarily taken aback, clearly unable to grasp the gravity of the circumstances. What nonsense are you spouting? At that moment, Steward Su stepped forward, speaking with utmost respect. Young master, the miss is not speaking in vain. The evidence is irrefutable. We have discovered a significant quantity of jewelry belonging to Madame Wen and the master's watch in Wen Ma's room. The total value approaches 200 million. And we have them red-handed. The miss intends to report this to the police for legal proceedings. Bai Yanzhou's gaze shifted to the valuable items presented by Steward Su, then to the guilty expressions of the Wen mother and daughter. His face underwent several transformations. He was momentarily speechless, but quickly fixed me with an indignant glare. Even if Wen Ma acted foolishly and committed a mistake, can't we handle this privately? Must you make it public? What about the Bai family's reputation? He then angrily pointed at Shen Jiyu and Shen Jiheng. And what of them? What wrong have Jiyu and Jiheng committed? Must you humiliate them in such a manner? They are your personal bodyguards. Are you truly becoming increasingly reckless? Reckless? My eyes turned cold. These 2 sycophants, feasting on the Bai family sustenance, yet loyally serving the maid's daughter. They dared to oppress me, the rightful heir of the Bai family, and compel me to kneel and apologize to the maid's daughter? Who truly embodies recklessness here, me or them?
You.
Bai Yanzhou's chest heaved with anger. If they demand you kneel and apologize, then kneel. His fury was palpable. If not for you constantly bullying Wen Yi, would they even dare to compel you to apologize? If you possessed even half of Wen Yi's sense, how could they treat you so? I delivered a resounding slap across his face. The sharp sound echoed through the villa's hall. Bai Yanzhou, do not forget your own identity. I am the eldest daughter and the rightful master of the Bai family. You are merely an adopted son, a dog taken in by the Bai family. My parents, in their kindness, adopted you, granting you a life of affluence and dignity, not to enable you to confuse right and wrong and scold me. The sole heir of the Bai family. This family bears the Bai surname. It is not your place as an adopted son to teach me how to conduct myself. My words fell like thunder, reverberating through the hall. The entire assembly was rendered speechless, including Bai Yanzhou himself. He stared at me in disbelief, his face ashen. Anger, humiliation, and the panic of having his status as an adopted son exposed in public intertwined within him. His greatest fear was having his identity as an adopted son mentioned in front of others. I had never dared to speak of it before.
Now.
Not only had I spoken, but I had also dared to strike him. Why you? He trembled, pointing at me, momentarily at a loss for words. After a long pause, he gritted his teeth and replied, Fine. Very well. I am now the president of the Bai Group. If that is the case, do not expect to step foot in the company again. Did I hear him correctly? Is this farce truly devoid of logic? Not allow me to enter the company. I opened my phone, displaying the stock transfer agreement and the digital version of my father's will before him. Bai Yanzhou, open your eyes and behold. I am the sole heir of the Bai Group and its largest shareholder. Removing you from the position of president is merely a matter of my word. Not allowing me into the company? Are you mad, or am I? I turned to Steward Su and commanded sharply, Steward Su, contact Assistant Qi and the major shareholders. Effective immediately, revoke all of Bai Yanzhou's positions within the company. Announce that I shall personally assume the role of president. Upon hearing this, Steward Su's eyes sparkled with excitement, tears of joy nearly spilling over. Yes, miss. I will take care of it right away. He had long awaited this moment. This false scion had embedded his own confidence within the Bai Group, marginalizing the company's veterans. The grievances had been mounting. Now, the eldest daughter would finally reclaim the power of the group. He promptly pulled out his phone, energetically contacting Assistant Qi and the major shareholders. Steward Su was a long-standing member of the Bai family, having served under the original grandfather and the former patriarch. For years, he had been by my side, harboring a wealth of frustration. Now his tone regained its former decisiveness and authority. Bai Yanzhou was utterly flabbergasted. He watched as I presented legally binding documents, listening to Steward Su execute commands with unwavering conviction. A chilling sensation shot from his feet to his head. No. Stop. You cannot do this. Bai Yanzhou screamed in panic. He could no longer maintain his previous arrogant and aloof demeanor. His face was a mask of sheer terror. The group is currently undergoing a critical transformation. Several long-planned major projects are under my direct oversight. You cannot remove me. What if the group falters? Can you justify this to our parents? Was he attempting to use the company's interest to coerce me? I regarded him coldly, filled with derision. Loss? The current vice president, Pei Nanfeng, holds dual doctorates in economics and law from Ivy League universities. He has transformed a nearly bankrupt company into an industry leader. You are merely disgruntled because he often leaves important business events early to accompany his lover, Wenyi. You intend to demote him? In terms of business acumen, who do you believe is superior, him or you, an underachiever from a second-rate university? Allowing you to remain in the presidential seat is the greatest loss for the Bai Group. I paused, casting a disdainful glance at him. As for the Bai family's enterprises, I shall naturally take charge and manage them myself. There is no need for you, a traitorous outsider, to concern yourself. The term outsider pierced through Bai Yanzhou's final vestiges of composure like a dagger. His face turned ghostly pale, nearly collapsing. His greatest source of confidence stemmed from his identity and power as the president of the Bai Group. Now it was being effortlessly stripped away by me. The sister he had once dismissed as weak. The surrounding servants and bodyguards dared not make a sound, their astonishment palpable. Today, the miss not only dealt with the female bodyguard and the troublesome maid, but also toppled the once untouchable false heir. With a mere flick of her wrist, she commanded the room. This was nothing short of earth-shattering. Wenyi and the Shin brothers were equally dumbfounded. Their greatest support had just crumbled. Observing Bai Yanzhou's ashen visage, they were filled with trepidation and despair. Bai Shu, you cannot. Bai Yanzhou struggled to resist, his voice thick with pleading. Yet, I paid him no heed, addressing Steward Su, who was still on the phone.
Steward Su.
Also inform the security department to immediately revoke Bai Yenzhou's office keys and all access permissions within the group. He will have 24 hours to collect his personal belongings. Otherwise, they will be treated as garbage. Yes, miss. Bai Yenzhou was now utterly despondent. He gazed at my cold profile and finally realized that this woman before him was no longer the timid sister he could manipulate at will. All his status, power, and pride lay shattered at this moment. Fear crept into his heart as he rushed forward to grasp my arm. Sister, I was wrong. You cannot treat me this way. I am your brother. I turned to face him, gently patting his cheek.
Oh, brother?
When one slandered me, accusing me of pushing her down the stairs. I asked you to review the surveillance footage, and you deemed it unnecessary? Was it not you who confined me in the basement for 3 days and nights? Only because when expressed a desire to indulge in dog meat, you unhesitatingly commanded that the golden retriever, which I had lovingly raised for 3.5 years, be stewed. Was it not your directive? Did you not just say that they compelled me to kneel and apologize and that I should comply? Have you now realized that you are my brother? Where is your dignity? Each of my pointed inquiries struck like a hammer, forcefully landing upon Bai Yenzhou's heart. His face drained of color, lips trembling, yet he could muster no words of rebuttal. The disdainful gazes of those around him bore down upon him, more agonizing than death itself. He lunged at me once more, tears streaming down his face. I was wrong. Shushu, it was your brother at fault. I will make amends to you in the future. Yet, seeing his tears only filled me with revulsion. You have not merely erred, you have finally come to fear. I turned away from him, directing my orders to butler Su. Su Bo, confine Bai Yenzhou to the basement. No one is to release him without my consent. In 24 hours, I expect to see none of his belongings within any property of the Bai family. Yes, miss. 2 bodyguards swiftly approached, one on either side, seizing Bai Yenzhou. No, Bai Shushu, you cannot do this. I am the eldest son of the Bai family. Bai Yenzhou struggled, his voice thick with despair. Just then, an irate voice rang out. Bai Shushu, what kind of nonsense are you up to today? Yenzhou is your brother. How can you treat him this way? The speaker was none other than Su Xingchen, the original protagonist's fiancé.
Ha!
All gathered here for Wen-Yi. How amusing. Wen-Yi seemed to see her savior once more, crying out loudly, Brother Xingchen. Sister Shushu wants to call the police on my mother and imprison brother Yenzhou. You must persuade her.
Susinichen aprovit me.
His brow slightly furrowed. Bai Shushu, are you not simply jealous of how we treat Wen-Yi? Must you escalate matters to this extent? Release Yenzhou at once. Apologize to Aunt Wen and Wen-Yi, and let this incident pass. Noticing my silence, his tone softened further. All right, stop making a scene. You need to be magnanimous for me to like you, understand? I slapped him across the face with a swift motion, without a hint of mercy. Magnanimous, my foot. Su Xingchen held his reddened cheek, disbelief flooding his eyes. He must have never imagined that I, once his obedient fiancé, would publicly strike him. The hall fell into a profound silence, all present utterly shocked by this turn of events. They knew that I had previously regarded Su Xingchen's words as gospel. How could I now dare to slap him? This was inconceivable. After a brief moment of stunned silence, his fury ignited. Bai Shushu, you dare strike me? I gave you face. His voice thundered. Mark my words, if you do not kneel and beg for forgiveness today, I shall never forgive you. His outrageous proclamation only served to amuse me. Forgive you, my foot. I delivered another resounding slap to his face. Su Xingchen, who do you think you are? 5 years ago, you and your mother were involved in a grave car accident, struck by a speeding vehicle, resulting in her instant demise. At that time, your car was engulfed in flames, and you were trapped in the driver's seat, barely clinging to life. Have you forgotten who risked everything to rescue you? Su Xingchen's mind finally recalled that fateful day. I had just pulled him from the wreckage when the vehicle erupted in a violent explosion. Were it not for me, he would have perished. It was then that the original protagonist, captivated by his handsome and genteel demeanor, fervently pursued him, only to discover later that he was the illegitimate son of the Su family. It was through her pursuit that he gained recognition from the Su family, becoming a candidate for the heir of this generation. Over the past 5 years, the original protagonist had devoted herself entirely to him, while he circled around the daughter of a maid. Before his father passed, He gifted Su Xingqian a set of Buddhist beads that had been passed down through the Bai family for generations. The very next day, those beads appeared in Wenyi's possession. The original protagonist, furious, attempted to reclaim them, only to have Wenyi deliberately shatter them. At that time, Su Xingqian had also urged the original protagonist to be magnanimous.
Ha!
The original protagonist could endure, but I shall not tolerate any of it. I extended my hand, leisurely slapping his face with an air of humiliation. Su Xingqian, you are merely the illegitimate son of the Su family. What makes you think you are worthy of becoming their heir? 5 years ago, when the Su Corporation teetered on the brink of collapse, who revived it? You know in your heart. I continued, if you behave like a loyal dog, begging for my favor, perhaps I might grant you some sweet rewards. But to demand that I be magnanimous and kneel in apology. I turned to Butler Su and commanded, Su Bo, instruct Assistant Chi to issue an announcement on the official website. State that Su Xingqian's character is lacking, and that the Bai family is unilaterally canceling the engagement with the Su family, as well as terminating all collaborations with the Su Corporation. Make it happen now. Upon hearing my words, Butler Su's face flushed with excitement. The young lady has finally awakened. No longer the former sycophant. He nearly shed tears of joy. Yes, miss. I will notify Assistant Chi immediately. He pulled out his phone, his tone firm as he relayed my orders. Su Xingqian's face turned ashen upon hearing my decree. He staggered back a step, his voice rising in panic.
No.
Bai Shushu. You cannot. The engagement is a pact between the Bai and Su families. How can you unilaterally cancel it? And what about those collaborative projects? A pact? I scoffed, eyeing him with disdain. A pact with an ungrateful, disreputable, illegitimate son? The Bai family cannot afford such a disgrace. I advanced a step, my gaze sharp as a blade, fixed upon him. As for collaboration? Su Xingqian, your family has barely maintained its facade these years by leeching off the Bai group. Now that I refuse to allow you to do so, do you understand? Su Xingqian felt a chill run down his spine, finally grasping that I was no longer the same. Without the Bai group's orders and financial support, the Su family could not hope to thrive. Should the Bai family fully terminate all cooperation and withdraw investment, who would dare to offend the Bai family? The Su family would be on the brink of bankruptcy. As the instigator of this calamity, and with his tenuous status as an illegitimate son, his fate was all too clear. The Su family would never spare him. He finally felt fear, terror evident in his eyes. He sank to his knees, crawling towards me, clutching at my skirt. Shushu, I was wrong. I will never dare again. Please, grant me another chance. Another chance? I looked down at him from my elevated position, devoid of any compassion. Su Xingqian, have you forgotten who it was that demanded I kneel and apologize, who urged me to be magnanimous? Do you realize your error now? It's too late. My tone was resolute, leaving no room for negotiation. When you allowed Wenyi to shatter my mother's relic, the opportunity was already lost. When you conspired with them to toy with me like a fool, all that remains between us now is reckoning.
Su Xingqian.
I can pull you back from the gates of hell, but I can also kick you back in. Su Xingqian met my icy gaze and trembled violently. I was wrong. Shushu, please don't abandon me. Treat me as a dog. I will never act as I did before. Shushu, you cannot treat me this way. He lunged again to grasp my skirt, but I kicked him away. There was not a trace of pity in my eyes. Let me tell you one more thing.
Su Xingqian.
The person who struck your mother years ago is the one you hold dear. Bai Yanzhou was seated in the passenger seat that day, and it was he who helped dispose of that car. If you doubt me, you can ask him. Wenyi and Bai Yanzhou's expressions changed drastically in an instant. My words struck like thunder, rendering the entire villa hall utterly silent. All eyes in the room swiftly converged upon the ashen faces of Wenyi and Bai Yanzhou. Su Xingqian abruptly lifted his head, his eyes brimming with disbelief and shock. As the illegitimate son of the Su family, he had grown up reliant solely on his mother. His mother had nearly perished during childbirth, and from that moment on, she had showered him with unparalleled love, always providing him with the finest of everything and shielding him from even the slightest hardship. It could be said that his mother was the most pivotal figure in his life. Su Xingqian appeared to be struggling to comprehend my words, as if he simply could not accept the revelation. His pupils constricted sharply, his mouth quivering as he repeated, What did you say? Was it when who killed my mother? Bai Yanzhou, restrained, turned pale and shrieked. Bai Shu, stop spouting nonsense. You are slandering me. Xingqian, do not believe her. She is merely sowing discord. All the evidence from back then, when hearing Bai Yanzhou nearly slip up, was struck with terror and hurriedly interjected, no, it wasn't me. Brother Xingqian, you must believe me. Bai Shu is framing me. She simply cannot bear to see you treat me well. Their vehement reactions, their desperate tones, and the panic in their eyes all corroborated the veracity of my words. Even a fool could see that they had something to hide. Is it true? Su Xingqian's voice became distorted, hoarse with emotion. He slowly rose, glaring fiercely at Wen Yi and Bai Yanzhou. His gaze filled with a consuming hatred that seemed to yearn for their annihilation. Look at me. Answer me. Is it you? And no, it isn't.
Then Yi stammered.
Still attempting to defend herself. Yet under Su Xingqian's murderous glare, her voice dwindled, her eyes darting away from him. Su Xingqian had no lingering doubts. Bai Yanzhou was instantly flustered, his words tumbling over one another. Xingqian, do not listen to Bai Shu's wild claims. She has gone mad. This is her revenge against us. Yes, it's revenge. Stay calm.
Calm?
Su Xingqian suddenly emitted a chilling, bone-chilling laugh. Ha ha ha, calm? How can you expect me to remain calm? Since childhood, my father has been absent, and my mother raised me single-handedly. You kill my mother, and then toyed with me as if I were a fool. And you want me to be calm? He abruptly turned his gaze upon Wen Yi, the affection and warmth in his eyes completely extinguished, replaced by an overwhelming sense of disgust and hatred. I foolishly cherished you, a murderer?
Ha!
Time and again, you harmed the very person who saved my life. I have lost everything for your sake. He then turned his furious gaze upon Bai Yanzhou, teeth clenched in rage.
And you?
Bai Yanzhou, I trusted you implicitly, regarded you as a brother. Yet you concealed the actions of this murderer? You're all animals, worse than swine and dogs. The intense fury and sense of betrayal drove Su Xingqian into a complete frenzy. He suddenly screamed, lunging for the fruit knife on the coffee table, and madly charged towards Wen Yi.
Ah!
You wretched murderer! You deceived me. You have lied to me for so many years. Return my mother's life to me. His blood-red eyes were filled with a desire to destroy everything as he stabbed Wen Yi's chest repeatedly, piercing her 13 times. At that moment, what love, what beloved darling, all transformed into the most ironic of jokes. This scene unfolded too swiftly for anyone to anticipate Su Xingqian's sudden loss of reason and his brutal assault. By the time the bodyguards rushed forward to intervene, Wen Yi's chest was already a gruesome mess. She collapsed to the ground, her body convulsing a few times before falling completely still. The hall was suffused with a thick, metallic scent of blood.
Ah!
The entire villa echoed with terrified screams. Mother Wen embraced her daughter's lifeless body, wailing in despair. Wen Yi, my daughter, please wake up. Look at your mother. Wu, call the police. Summon an ambulance. The two brothers from the Shin family and Bai Yanzhou gazed at the beloved protagonist lying in a pool of blood, their eyes clouded with confusion, as if their entire world had crumbled with Wen Yi's death. Su Xingqian was subdued by the bodyguards, pressed to the ground. He looked at Wen Yi's corpse, laughing maniacally. I observed this farce, concluding in such a blood-soaked manner, with little emotional upheaval. Wen Yi, the cherished darling, ultimately met her demise at the hands of her most devoted follower, Su Xingqian. How ironic! Yet it was also richly deserved. The police finally arrived. I instructed the butler to submit the surveillance footage as evidence to the authorities. Su Xingqian, Bai Yanzhou, and Mother Wen were all taken away. Mother Wen faced charges of theft, with implicated funds nearing 200 million, ensuring she would likely never see freedom again. Bai Yanzhou, besides harboring the perpetrator and destroying evidence, had diverted significant assets from Wen Yi's small company using his position as group president. The amount involved was staggering, condemning him to a lifetime of confinement. At last, only the Shun brothers knelt on the ground, repeatedly bowing and pleading for mercy. Young miss, we know we were wrong. Please grant us another chance. We were bewitched. We will never dare again. We will be utterly loyal. I regarded their terrified expressions with no shred of pity.
Su Butler.
Isn't our mining company in Africa in need of manpower? These two scoundrels are still under contract. Send them over at once. Butler Sue smiled in satisfaction. Yes, young miss. Regardless of their desperate struggles, the Shun brothers were ultimately dispatched. At last, the world was finally at peace. Ding! Congratulations to the host for binding the strongest villain system. By eliminating the world's beloved protagonist, you may choose to return to your original world and take with you all the wealth acquired here. Now, let the system guide you on how to resolve the crisis and obliterate the beloved protagonist. Method 1. I erupted in a tirade. Damn you, system. I've completed my task and now you decide to show up? The system crashed for 3 seconds. What? It's done already? I retorted, scram. System. Alrighty. The end of the text. Thank you for listening. We shall meet again in the next story.